Chapter 13 to 15 in the Great Hall. Jiraiya opened his eyes wide and turned his head, looking at his teacher with a questioning expression. After many years as student and teacher, their bond was like father and son. Hiruzen understood what Jiraiya wanted to ask. It shouldn't be the Hyuga clan's secret technique. Also, for the Byakugan, this kind of chakra armor attack is very rare. I knew it, Jiraiya said, rubbing his chin with a sigh. When that kid started, I thought he was going to use the Rasengan. Oh, the one Minato developed. Yes, but this technique doesn't have the compression and spinning power of the Rasengan. It seems this kid borrowed many of the gentle fist's principles, increasing its penetration and hardness. This technique probably isn't fully developed. He's a genius, Hiruzen praised. A pity for such a good seedling, Jiraiya said with a slight huff, though his displeasure wasn't aimed at Uchiha. Hiruzen looked down silently. Below, Shuto Uchiha was being helped back by his clansmen, not seeming seriously injured. Uto stood in place, waiting for the next battle. Behind this promising young talent, the Hyuga clan members were not cheering. Instead, Shinosuke Hyuga and that clan girl had different emotions in their eyes. Those emotions were definitely not joy and pride. Seeing all this, the third Hokage felt even more displeased with the Hyuga clan. Long ago, the Hyuga were much more influential. The Byakugan used in war was an invincible weapon, and even the Uchiha and Senju had to give them some leeway. But the system of the main and branch families had completely ruined the Hyuga's vigor. Stagnant, each generation worse than the last. Even if a genius appeared, they often died young due to various reasons. Now, it had been a long time since the Hyuga clan produced a cage-level warrior. During Hiruzen Sarutobi's tenure as Hokage, reducing the influence of the clans was always one of his unwavering policies. This had never changed, but the Hyuga clan was an oddity. He didn't need to weaken them. They did it themselves. Year after year, the Hyuga clan continued to decline, barely maintaining their dignity with their Keki, Genkai, and the remnants of their ancestors' glory. The entire clan was like a caged bird trapped by the main branch system. Hiruzen sighed silently, using a certain technique to compress his voice into a line, secretly speaking to his three beloved students. You all know why I gathered you here. So, what do you think? The teacher's question received no response from his students. Orochimaru sat there calmly, watching the battle in the courtyard, occasionally sipping tea. Jiraiya, on the other hand, had taken out a small notebook, dipping his pen in ink and writing as if inspiration had struck. Tsunade was the worst. She was drinking bowl after bowl of sake, her cheeks flushed, her eyes glazed and unfocused. Anyone who didn't know better might think the Senju clan's sage body was naturally alcohol intolerant. Hiruzen rolled his eyes in frustration. He knew his students all too well. The plan to have the three shinobi take on students to stimulate the Uchiha and Hyuga clans to contribute more during the war sounded great, but had one major prerequisite. The three shinobi had to be willing to take on students. When children grow up, they are hard to manage, especially three powerful, young, cage-level shinobi. The three shinobi were all resistant to taking on students. At this time, Orochimaru, although he had started human experiments, was still loyal to Konoha. With the third Hokage aging, he was preparing to vie for the position of fourth Hokage. Taking on Uchiha or Hyuga clan members might gain the support of the two clans. But since this was merely a strategic move, it could cause trouble later on. It was better not to take on the responsibility. Jiraiya, while willing to teach the younger generation a bit, had become very cautious about taking on students after the Toad. sage's prophecy that his student would bring great change to the shinobi world. As for Tsunade, it was purely due to psychological trauma. After the deaths of her brother, Nawaki Senju, and lover Dan Kato, Tsunade developed severe hemophobia. Being a shinobi, afraid of blood, was a massive flaw. Thus, Tsunade became disheartened, left Konoha, and wandered with young Shizune, not caring about village affairs anymore. The three shinobi were shirking, and Hirasan Sarutobi, unable to scold his students in front of so many people, could only sit quietly, watching the young shinobi fight in the courtyard. Time passed, and soon, the 4 Uchiha and 4 Hyuga geniuses had all taken their turns. Among them, the most impressive was naturally Yuto, with an outstanding body honed through steady training. Mastery of the gentle fist, his genius self-created ninjutsu lion's fang bite, keen insight, and excellent judgment, he stood out among his peers, nearly dominating. Ultimately, these were merely ordinary geniuses. The real monsters, like the young Shisui or the unborn Itachi, wouldn't be here, allowing Yuto Hyuga to win so easily. The young shinobi had showcased their skills, and the banquet resumed. No one was seriously injured. The Sarutobi clan had a dedicated medical team, and soon the 8 geniuses were back in their seats. After a while of eating and drinking, Hirusan suddenly coughed, stretching lazily. Everyone. Our Sarutobi clan is renowned in the ninja world for our plant research. Even now, our clan grounds house rare flowers and fruits cultivated by our ancestors. Let's take a break, and we will reconvene here in a quarter of an hour. Everyone paused. Immediately understanding the third Hokage's intention, he wanted to send them away to have a private conversation with the 3 shinobi about taking on students. Fugaku, Uchiha, and Hayashi Hyuga exchanged a few polite words and respectfully withdrew with their clansmen. In the Great Hall, the over 50-year-old Hirusan Sarutobi stood with his hands behind his back for a long time. Finally, he slowly turned around, tiredly saying, "Tsunade." He was about to give a heartfelt speech and persuade the 3 shinobi, but when he turned around, his 3 students were all gone. While their teacher was gathering his emotions, the students had slipped away. "You 3 brats." In the Great Hall, Hirosan Sarutobi tugged at his beard, nearly losing his composure and cursing. At the same time, in a fragrant garden within the Sarutobi clan grounds, Yuto stopped walking. He bowed respectfully, as taught by his clan. "Shinozuki-sama, Meiku-sama." Yuto bowed respectfully, standing with hands at his sides in front of 2 main family geniuses. Even the strictest and most traditional elders of the Hyuga family could not find fault in his behavior. The jewel of the Hyuga. Shinosuke Hyuga murmured softly, the shadows of the leaves obscuring most of his face, making his expression fragmented. "No wonder you're called the Hyuga's jewel. I've heard of a prodigy from the branch family, but I didn't believe it at first. Seeing you in action tonight, you're indeed formidable." He paused, his voice suddenly becoming sharp. "But the branch family cannot bear the title of the Hyuga's jewel. That is the responsibility and honor of the main family. Yuto Hyuga, you have overstepped. Do you think I want to carry the Hyuga name?" "Ignorant pests," Yuto mocked silently, but his face remained calm as he responded, "It's just the admiration of my village peers. I'm not worthy to represent the Hyuga family. It's good that you understand." Shinosuke's expression softened slightly. "The move you used to defeat Shuto Uchiha tonight, did you create it yourself?" "Yes." "Hand it over to the family's secret techniques room." Shinosuke's expression was as if he was saying, "Let's have grilled meat tonight in a casual manner." As a member of the Hyuga, everyone has the duty to enhance the family's heritage. According to the rules, The branch family must submit their unique techniques to receive appropriate rewards. At the next family meeting, you may kneel behind me and the elders of the main family. If you continue to contribute, you'll have more opportunities like this. How about handing it over now? If it weren't for the tense atmosphere, Yuto would have burst out laughing. Countless nights of thoughtful pondering, enduring solitude and pain to develop a secret technique, and you think you can take it with a word. The reward is kneeling beside you. I know, at family meetings, the closer a branch member is to the main family, the higher their status. But look at me. Do I really look like a dog? Yuto blinked, trying to evade the trouble in front of him. Sorry, Shinosuke-sama, the time set by the Hokage for reassembly is near. Shinosuke's face turned completely cold. Yuto Hyuga, do you dare to defy family rules? He stepped forward, veins bulging at his temples. The main family is the master of the Hyuga. The branch family is the shield and sword of the main family. It seems you've forgotten your obligations as a branch member. Sensing his thoughts, the main family girl Mako Hyuga also activated her Byakugan, coldly staring at Uto. Uto frowned, feeling uneasy. He had outshone tonight, hurting their ridiculous pride. Before he could think of a solution, he heard rustling footsteps on the grass behind him. Activating his Byakugan instantly, Yuto saw Naruto Hyuga approaching from behind through his 360-degree vision. Obedient dog, Yuto sneered. 1 against 3, Shinosuke, Mako, and Naruto. These Hyugas were not weak. If a real fight started, he would have to fight with all his might. Main family rules, ridiculous. Do they expect him to offer his face to be stepped on? Yuto wasn't that lowly. The lone boy showed no expression, but his body roared with chakra, the lion's teeth subtly appearing. However, the fierce battle Yuto anticipated did not happen. In the dark garden, Shinosuke raised a hand to his mouth, sneering at Yuto. That smile was as if he were crushing an insect. The next moment, endless pain erupted from the depths of Yuto's eyes. From his eyeballs to his optic nerves, an entire brain, it felt like a rusty pair of scissors was shredding his flesh and nerves from the inside out. Needles, knives, fire, swords. No pain could compare to this torture. Unable to resist, Yuto clutched his head, curling up in agony. A hand suddenly appeared. It was Naruto, clamping Yuto's mouth shut, nails digging into his flesh, indifferent to his suffering, preventing any sound from escaping. After an unknown period, Yuto stopped struggling. Naruto released his grip, shaking off the blood Yuto had bitten his tongue in pain. Yuto, dazed, struggled to see clearly but found everything a blur. Can't see anything, right? Shinosuke Hyuga approached, looking with interest at Uto's bloodshot eyes, the caged bird. A perfected seal over 1,000 years. Not only destroys the brain and eyes upon death, but also can be activated by the main family to destroy the brain tissue. Of course, even the most perfect thing has flaws. The main family boy leaned in, his pure white eyes filled with condescending malice. For example, activating the caged bird often causes varying degrees of vision damage. Some recover in days, some never. You might end up blind. A gurgling sound emerged from Yuto's throat. Shinosuke leaned in to listen, but couldn't understand. Standing up disappointedly. Bit your own tongue, huh? You sure can endure. But no matter how much you endure, how tough you are, what does it matter? You're just a branch member. Yuto Hyuga, remember, I'll say this only once. Shinosuke Hyuga pointed at himself, then at Yuto's forehead protector. I am a Hyuga, and you are a Hyuga, but we are not the same. For a shinobi, the most important thing is where you're born. With that, He left with Mako Hyuga and Naruto Hyuga, leaving Yuto immobile. The branch family boy clawed at the dirt, desperately trying to stand and chase after them. Plans and timing didn't matter anymore. He just wanted to tear those three's throats with the lion's teeth, drenching himself in revenge's blood. Sadly, no matter how he tried, he couldn't succeed. The activated caged bird was one of the most torturous methods in the shinobi world. In the dark garden, moonlight slowly spread. It took a long time for Yuto to regain some strength. He shakily took out a hemostatic ointment from his pouch, roughly applying it to his tongue. The pain from the ointment was sharp, but less than the caged bird's torment, and nowhere near the burning anger and hatred in his heart. Rustle, rustle. Footsteps approached from behind, someone unexpectedly arriving. "You look terrible, kid." A woman's voice reached Yuto's ears in the night. The branch family boy turned. A blonde woman held a wine jar, drunk, with a bold yet lazy demeanor. The unique vitality and sunny chakra of the Senju clan seemed to drive away the night's chill. In a certain garden within the Sarutobi clan grounds, Uto leaned back on a stone bench, eyes tightly shut. Tsunade reached out with one hand, gently covering Uto's eyes. Soft chakra flowed from her palm to his eyeballs and optic nerves, stimulating cell repair and regeneration. Using chakra, a powerful and wild energy, for medical purposes is extremely difficult. When treating delicate systems like the visual and brain tissues, it's akin to embroidery on the tip of a needle. In the entire shinobi world, fewer than 5 people could manage such a feat. Fortunately, Tsunade was one of them. In terms of medical ninjutsu, this last descendant of the Senju clan was undoubtedly the best. After some time, the cool sensation abruptly vanished. Yuto opened his eyes, and though he felt a stabbing pain, his vision finally cleared. The pain will last for about a week. Drink plenty of water and get lots of rest, the blonde Tsunade said, letting out a relieved breath. She let her tied-up hair down and took a sip of sake. Tsunade was a very ethical healer and wouldn't drink while treating patients. Yuto rubbed his still tense forehead and, after a long silence, bowed deeply to Tsunade-sama. "You have saved my life as a shinobi. From now on, I am at your service, no matter the cost." Hey, that's enough, kid from the Hyuga clan," Tsunade grimaced. If it were anyone else, making such a face would seem comical, but Tsunade's beauty made even unguarded expressions captivating. "Kid, your name is Yuto Hyuga, right? How old are you?" "I'm 12, Tsunade-sama." The blonde woman was momentarily stunned and took another gulp of sake. 12, huh? Many your age are still recent graduates and troublemakers, yet you've made a name for yourself through your own efforts. With young talents like you, the will of fire will surely be passed on. Tsunade-sama, I am not strong enough yet. There is still much I need to learn. When I was your age, I also wanted to master my clans, Keki, Genkai, and restore the Senju glory. But now, I feel that simply being strong won't necessarily get you what you want. The strong might not always get what they desire, but the weak will certainly lose more. Such a boyish view, Tsunade said lightly, tilting her head to look at Yuto. She suddenly asked, "Your injury, is it from the caged bird?" Yuto lowered his head. After a moment, he stood up, resting his hands on the stone railing of the pavilion, the night wind blowing through his bangs, carrying a faint scent of blood. Tsunade couldn't see the boy's expression, but his silhouette against the railing made her feel uneasy. 10 years ago, her younger brother, Nawaki, was also 12. On his birthday, he wore the crystal necklace she had given him, leaned on the railing atop the Hawkash building, and talked about his youthful dreams. Then, the day after his birthday, he died in the chaos of war. The blonde woman took another large sip of sake. When people are troubled, they seek escape, and sake is a good thing. Though the strong body of the Senju clan made alcohol less effective on Tsunade. Yes, Tsunade-sama, you are right. At that moment, Yuto's voice came from ahead. It might seem like airing dirty laundry, but you are one of the 3 Sennin of Konoha. To me, you are a trustworthy senior. I won't hide it from you. The one who cast the caged bird jutsu was Shinosuke Hyuga. Tsunade mocked without hesitation. The Hyuga have fallen so far that they disclose the caged bird's secrets to a child. Tsunade seemed to have a low opinion of the Hyuga clan. When I was little, there were several strong figures in the Hyuga family. Though they were not as great as my grandfather, they were formidable. But now, the caged bird imprisons both the branch and main families. Maybe, Yuto said calmly. When the caged bird activates, it hurts a lot. For a second or two, I wished I had a kunai to stab the caster in the neck. Such thoughts would be heresy in the Hyuga clan, but to Tsunade they seemed normal. If a 12-year-old genius, made to suffer by a cursed seal, still thought of serving the main family, Tsunade would think the person was either brainwashed or lying. Kid, you can say that to me, but forget those feelings outside of the Sarutobi grounds. I told you because I see you as a genuinely kind figure, someone I can trust with everything. Hey, you sure know how to talk. So what now, Yuto Hyuga? What do you think of the main family now? Now, I don't know what to think. Surprisingly, I don't feel much anger or hatred. Tsunade-sama, I don't know how to put it. Speak freely, kid. It's just us here. Yes, Tsunade-sama. Yuto hesitated for the first time. Can I really say this? To reopen the wounds of a woman who has lost her loved ones, just to achieve my own goals. Yuto, you are so dirty. The hesitation lasted only a moment. The next second, Yuto suppressed it and spoke words he remembered from a manga in his previous life. Losing those you care about in battle isn't a shinobi's mission. Because I live in a world filled with death and chaos, I want to strive for peace. I love this village and my comrades, so I want to protect them. Since my parents died, this thought has always sustained me. So, Tsunade-sama, I want to become Hokage because being Hokage means protecting everyone. That has always been my dream. Tsunade was stunned. Those long-buried, painful memories suddenly resurfaced. 10 years ago, when she and Dan Kato pledged their love, Dan had said the same thing. It was a secret between her and Dan. Since Dan's death in the Second Shinobi War, she had been the only one who knew those bold and determined vows. Now, the 12-year-old Yuto seemed to embody 2 figures. The blonde woman tilted her head back, raising her sake bottle, but it was empty. Nawaki-dan, do you want me to help this boy?